Hello and welcome back to our Pixel Game Maker MV tutorial series. Where we left off, we had a small little game prepared with a character that moves around and can jump, but there's still quite a few issues. For example, the character can currently stand on air and there's nothing for the character to kill yet. So we're going to fix that in this episode. Just like last time, I provided a link to the assets that we're going to be using in the description below. To start off, let's open up our resources and we're going to make a new folder. We're going to call this folder Enemies. It's always good to keep separate folders for different things. It will make sorting through them a lot easier later on. Now in this Enemies folder, we're going to right click and we're going to add image. And we're going to find our asset folder that we've downloaded. We're going to go to the tutorial 2 folder, click through to enemies and select all of these images and open them. And you'll see that they've just been popped in under there. And this is going to be our bad guy for the tutorial today. It kind of looks like a Goomba. I think that's what we're going for. We're also going to add 2 more images to this player folder here. So just right click, add image. Back to where we were before in our assets folder, and we've got some new player images. So we got an image where she's taken some damage and an image where she is dying. We're going to be using all of these images today. Alright, now that we've set up our resources, we're going to go straight over to animation. Alright, now before we actually set up our new animation for our bad guy, we're going to add a few more motions to our player 1 here. We're going to set up a hurt motion and a death motion. So all we got to do, just like before, we're going to be adding new. We're going to be calling this one hurt, and we're going to go left. And with this left animation, oh, if it'll work, there we go. So you'll notice that there currently isn't the animations in the frame down here. So we don't have hurt and death to pick from because they're not actually automatically added. So the way that we add those in is we just right click player 1 over here and we click animation settings. And you'll notice that we've got our plus. I'll just make this a little bit bigger. We've got our usual our tile set here for the different animations. We're going to add the ones that we just put into our resources. And the way we do that is just by clicking the plus button, going down, and adding them like we did last tutorial. And if you haven't checked out last tutorial, I would definitely recommend doing that tutorial before doing this one. We're going to be going through a lot of that kind of stuff quite quickly. But if you need a full explanation, please check out the last tutorial. Okay, so now we've got our damage light. So this is player 1 getting hit, and then we've got our death animations there falling over. And we just click OK. Now, when we hit click back into hurt, we'll click the direction left, and we're going to add damage left. And as I said before, just click yes on that. And sweet. Now, we do need to make this damage animation go for longer than 1 frame. But before we do that, let's make sure we've clicked our arrows this time. Click our hurt animation and just bump that up to 20. Once we've also done that, we're going to copy and paste for our right animation. And then we're going to select the right direction and bump that one also up to 20. Now, something that's important to notice in this one is we're not clicking infinite loop. We don't want this animation to go on forever. Unlike our wait, jump, and walk animations. We want it just to play for 20 frames and then finish off. Something I did actually forget to do, which you may have noticed, is we'll go back into our animation settings because these animations here, the death animations, are not going to be perfect because we forgot to partition them when we added them in. And that's actually quite simple to fix up. So make sure that when you add these animations, and they have multiple pictures in them, that we do partition them as well. So I'll go through and partition those now. Perfect. Okay. Now, when we go and add a new motion, and we're going to call this one Death. This is what's going to happen when we hit 0 hit points. We're going to die. And we'll go left again. And this time around, we're going to put the animation and just select Death Animation L. And just like before, make sure we've got the left arrow selected. Selecting our frames, we need to add 4 more frames, or rather 3 more frames, and go through each one, selecting the correct sprite for that frame. And this time around we're going to set each frame display to be 10 frames. Okay, so that whole animation should take 40 frames to play out. And it can be quite frustrating doing all of this over and over again, but luckily, if we copy and paste this, and we go right, I'm going to show you a quick way to actually make this go a little bit faster. So I've selected over here, we're going to select Death Animation Right this time. Go back to our left animation, select all these frames, copy, paste, and then delete the top one here, and that way we don't have to go in and manually add each frame. Awesome. Okay, so the other thing that we actually have on this player animation that we need to fix up before we get to our bad guys is the hit detection. So let's go back to our wait hit detection. We're going to zoom in a little bit, and we're just going to select right for now. It doesn't really matter which way we're facing here. But what we do want to see is the whole image. Now, see this, there's a few boxes here that you can turn on and off. One's going to be your wall detection. That's detecting walls and things like that. Collision detection is actually for enemies and enemy attacks. And you've got your attack detection, which we actually don't have an attack yet, and that will be added in a little bit later. So what we want to do in this one is actually lock down our main layer. So this is our main image, so we don't affect it. Then we're going to turn off our collision detection and click our wall detection. We're just going to change the size of this. I found from before we want to go 10 by 29, and you'll notice that it's put it all the way over here. We just want to line it up to the center of our sprite, and we can turn that one off and turn the other one on and do the same here. Oh, make sure you select it. 10 by 29, and this is a bit of a process to go through and fix these all up. And yeah, you will have to do it on each individual direction as well. Okay, so bear with me as we go through this animation and just fix up all our collision detection. It is a bit of a time-consuming process, but you'll notice that once we've done this, our character actually walks around a lot nicer on the map. Okay. Now this one, I tend to actually not care about this one, the death animation, because at that point, we're going to be dead. You can keep wall detection on though, and actually go over to collision detection and delete it, because we don't need collision detection in our death animation. We just want our wall detection there. And make sure you do that for both left and right. There we go. Our hurt, we do want to make sure we change the hurt animation, the hurt collision detection here as well, and make sure you lock down the sprite so you don't actually accidentally move it. And we're going to change the size of all of these. 1029, pop it in the middle. 1029, pop it in the middle. And same with this one. Lock it down. 1029, put it in the middle. Click next one. 1029, and pop that in the middle. Great, we're almost there, almost there. Whew. Okay. Our jump animation, now this one's slightly different. We're going to, again, go through and add 1029 to each of our collision detection. But there's also one last thing that we want to do. So let's just do the collision detection first on this sprite here. Pop it down there. But the way we're actually going to attack the bad guys is with our jump animation, just like Mario. So the way we add in a attack detection box is we have to click down here with the attack detection line. And we're just going to click that one, and we're going to specify size and position for this keyframe. And the size, we're just going to make it 10 by 5. Actually, let's be a bit more generous. Let's make it 14 by 5. And we're going to put it just below. That way, when we jump, we're going to be hitting before we get hit with that collision box. Okay. And we're going to do the same with the left side. Don't forget to lock down your sprite and set these up. 10, 29, put in the middle. 10, 29, pop it in the middle. Okay, and then we go back to our attack detection, and we're going to specify the size for that. And I think I'd put, yes, 12, or maybe it was 14, and by 5. Let's double check that on this one here. It was 14. 14 by 5 over here. So we'll make that 14, and just eyeball it into position for now. You do want that attack to hit below you before it hits your sprite. That way you'll damage it before it damages you. And by it, I mean the bad guys. Alright, and then last thing that we got to do is do our walk detection. Now you could, if you really wanted to, go through each one of these frames and do the attack, the detection for each one by changing it in your keyframes here, but let's not do that. And instead, let's actually just set up these ones for the whole animation. 1029, pop it in, and you probably get it by now. So let's just go through and do that for our left and our right. And let's make sure, if you need to, zoom in a little bit so you can actually get that right in the middle. Okay, so you'll notice that now that's for all the animation, and that's fine. And we're going to do it for this one as well. 10, 29, perfect. Pop that in. And 10, 29. Alright, and let's save that there. Now you'll notice if we hit our test button, we can actually walk around quite close to the edge now. We still can't go through walls or anything, but now even if we get to the edge, there is a little bit of overlap, but it's okay. It's not going to be disastrous at this point. Okay. Now for the good part. We're going to be adding the bad guy in. We're still in our animations list here, and we're going to add a new animation. We're going to call this guy enemy _ spike, because he's a spiky dude. And we're going to add all those enemy animations. So we've got our walk animation. Make sure you partition it. And we've got our other walk animation. Got to partition that one as well. We've got our death animation, both left and right. And finally we've got our standing, doing nothing animation. Perfect. Let me click OK. Now we've got to set up the motions for our enemy. And this can be quite time consuming, but we'll try and get through it as quick as possible. So let's delete everything and add new. I like to do that. We're going to start with walk. Actually, no, sorry. Start with wait. And we're going to just go left direction first. And this is going to be our resting image. And we'll go all the way down to left, devil red stand left. Just like that. And click the arrow. Then when we get to our frames, we don't have to change here. What we do need to change, however, is our infinite loop back over in the motion by itself. And actually, one more thing we need to change is back in our animations list, we'll click the enemy spike, and we're going to set the origin just to floor. That way, when it rotates and things like that, it's going to rotate around that center. As opposed to over in the top left, it'll have weird animation if it does that. Heading back to our direction here, we're going to go, and actually this time we're going to change it before we copy and paste it to save us a bit of time. So we're going to lock this down, and we're going to make this box quite small because we don't want we want it to only determine that it's been hit if it's in the center here. So we're going to actually make that 20 by 25. That way we have to try and hit this location as opposed to anything else. So 20 by 25 there. The other thing that we need to do is add in an attack detection. So even when he is standing still here, he's going to be able to hit you. And just as we did before, we click the attack detection. We're going to specify a size and a position. And we're going to make this just a 15 by 15 box. And we're going to move that so it's over the pointy bits. Perfect. Actually, might just... yeah, there we go. Alright. And we want to put another one over on the other side as well. And the way we do that is just by going... right-clicking on the attack detection down here. We go copy, and we're going to go paste. And now we can actually move this attack detection over to the other side. Wonderful. Now we're going to copy this, and we're going to paste it. And just like before, we're going to change him to the other way. And you'll notice, sweet, actually, the attack detection boxes are almost exactly where they need to be. You can change these if you want. It's not super important that you do. No one's going to really notice that one frame, but I like to. And we're going to call this guy wait right. Alright, we've got our wait motion. We're going to add a new motion now. And we're going to call this our walking motion. And once again, we're going to hit left. And once we've got our walking motion to the left, we're going to... oh, it's already set up. Perfect. We're going to go over to our frames. We're going to add 4 frames here. Our first one's going to be 10 frames, like so. Actually, is it 10 frames or 15 frames? We'll see. We'll see if this guy goes a bit fast when he's walking, and we can change it later. But for now, just put each one to be 10 frames. Okay. Now that we've got that in, we're going to go and mess with our detection. And we're just going to drag it and until it's where we want it. Now you can do this manually, you can type it in, whatever you feel like is a bit nicer. The problem with doing dragging it from the boxes is you have to click exactly on these white squares, otherwise you accidentally drag the whole thing. Okay, and luckily this time around, I think no, we haven't got it there. That's right, we'll just add a new attack detection, 15, 15, small little box, pop it in, and let's copy and let's paste and move it to the other side. Great. We're going to copy this, we're going to paste it. I'm going to call them right. Righty. No, we just want right. There we go. And just like before, we're going to copy all of these frames, go over to right, change his direction, so he's walking right this time. Yes. Move our collision boxes just one frame to the other side, and we're going to paste all these frames in here. And there we go, we don't even have to put in our frame counts there. Okay, the last thing that we need to do is add our death animation. And this one's quite fun as well. We just type in death. We're going to have death left and death right. It will matter later on. And this one we do want to have an infinite loop as well. Oh, I better have checked. Yep, I forgot to check the direction of those. That's something I always forget to do. Alright. And this one, we want it to be an infinite loop. But let's still put in 20 frames. But before we do that, we actually have to select the right image. There we go, upside down, dead cross little dude. Boom. Okay. Now, we want this guy to fall off the map when he dies. And the easiest way to do that is by deleting his detection box and his wall detection box. Now, he's actually just going to fall through the map when we kill him. And fall off the map, in fact. And we're going to copy and paste. And we're going to call this one right. And we're going to face this guy in the other direction. Change the image set. Change this over to 20 frames. And we are good. We've got our animations set up. Perfect. Now, what we got to do, and always do this, is save the project. Alright, now that we have our animations, we're going to go fix up the objects that use these animations. Now we do need to fix our player to add a hurt state and a death state, but we're not going to do that straight away. Let's actually, instead, we're going to add a folder, change its name to enemy, and we're going to add an object in that folder and actually add in our enemy spiky dude. Oh, I can type today. Okay, so enemy spike, perfect. We're going to select it, object detected as enemy group instead of player group. He is going to hit player group with his attack detection. He's also going to impact with the wall detection of the enemy group, but not impact with the wall detection of the player group. Otherwise, he can walk over your head, and we don't want that. And we're going to click OK. And we've got our little action here. Now, we need to change this action, and this is going to be our walking left action. Walking left state. So the idea is that I want him to be walking to the left, bump into something, and then walk back to the right in an infinite loop. And that's quite easy to achieve. So the first thing that we do is we make a walking left action here. And we're going to change the motion to walking. Then we're going to scroll down. We can change a whole bunch of stuff here, but we don't really need to. If you want them to move faster or anything, or move slower, you can change it here. But we're going to just click other runtime actions, this little plus. This will give us a whole bunch of options to tick and change. But the one that we care about is in our first tab, set move direction and move. And we're going to set move direction, and we're going to set it to left here. And we're going to make the display, you can set it to match move direction, that's fine. It will just match whatever move direction it's going to do. But let's just click left for now. We can even preview this by clicking the preview button, but he'll be on a different layer and actually just fall through fall through the map, which we'll fix up later. So we've got that sorted, and all we got to do now is click OK. Then we want to copy this, Control C, Control V, and change this one here to walking right. And down in our set move direction for this one, we're going to change it to right, and we're going to change it over to 90. And we're going to click OK. Now we've got our walking left and we've got our walking right. But at the moment, there's no way that this object knows how to go from left or to right. And there's a way that we can fix that, in fact. So the way that we do that is by adding links. So we're going to right click and add a link. And we're going to add a condition to this link. Now, there's a few different things when you're looking at this that you have to be aware of. So we just want to make sure if any of these conditions are met, that is going to work. Change direction, and when we go down, we don't need to do any input there, but click other condition settings. Now we actually want to do contact with tiles wall detection, which is the top one here, and we want to click left and right. Oh no, sorry, not right, just left. That way when he contacts on this side with a tile, he's going to change his state over to walking right. And we're going to do the same thing for the other direction. But this time we're going to set it to detect on the other side. So now we should have a guy that walks left and walks right. We can test this, in fact. Let's make sure that we test this. I'll quickly save project, go to scenes, and let's put down just a little testing area. So I'm going to put down a few tiles here. And in objects, I'm going to open up and put our newly Skype. I gotta fix that. Okay. Newly placed Spike Dude, who I will now rename here. Okay, let's change that name to Spike. Perfect. Okay. Hopefully that doesn't mess it around here. And now, when we test our little enemy, he's going to walk over here and walk the other direction. Now, this is a bit of a problem. He's not actually doing his animation, but he is doing the behavior that we want him to. So let's go back over to object and see why that is. Back to Spike. Now walking right, scroll back up. We've got his walking motion set there and his walking motion set there. Very strange. Let's go back to our animations and see what I've done wrong. Let's just make sure this plays. Oh, okay. I'm a bit silly. We need to go through here and actually change these walking animations. And that's entirely my fault. So yeah, the only thing that I forgot to do in this one is actually change the image for each frame. So let's delete those. 1, 2, 3. We'll delete all of them, in fact, and go through and change them. It's not letting me change them right now. I wonder why. Okay, I worked out what it was. So I actually had this locked for when we were editing the detection collision, so it didn't come up. So let's go and actually fix up this guy's animation now, and we're going to give him 10 frames on each of these, and we're going to go through and change the sprite on each one. Then we're going to copy this, take it over to the right, paste it, and delete that one. Whew, okay. Now when we test it, he should be walking. Yeah! Oh no! And that's because, super simple, I forgot to do, once again, is actually make sure you do this, go over to walking, infinite loop. It should work fine right now. There we go. And he's doing a little gallop. Isn't that cute? Okay. Perfect. Alright, let's go back to objects. And we're going to go back to our enemy Spike. So we've got him walking left, and we've got him walking right. We also want him to, when he's hit by an attack, to take damage and die. That's super simple. I'm going to add a new action. I'm going to call this one Hurt. Actually call it Death, rather. I'm going to set this animation to the Death animation. We're also going to actually make him perform a jump when he dies, so he's kind of going up into the air. And finally, we're going to set a direction, and I think 330 might work in this situation. No, we want 30. So he's going to be bouncing back in one direction or the other. So this one, we're going to match it to the left side, so he bounces backwards. And we're going to copy and paste this. And we'll call this Death Left and Death Right. And then we're going to go down and change this to 330. That way he's bouncing in the other direction, and change it to right there. Okay. And then we just have to add some links. So we're going to link it over here. And the condition that we're setting on this one is that the HP is 0 on the second tab. The HP of this object itself is going to be 0. It will perform Death Left. And with Death Right, we're going to link the HP on right. Again, HP is 0 of this. And we can even test what this animation looks like. If we go over back into the runtime actions and hit preview, we can see it goes bloop and then falls out of the map. Okay. Alright, so now that we have this is essentially our little bad guy, we're going to change some basic settings on him, actually. We're going to turn off, in the basic settings tab, turn off critical attack. He's only going to have 1 hit point, and his default action is going to be walking left. We don't need to change anything else. Actually, there is one thing that we do need to change. And that's back in the walking left and walking right animations. Now that he walks around and can die, he needs to be able to attack. So we're going to, in the runtime actions, press the tick, and we're going to go to attack settings here. We're just going to add this in, and we don't need to change any of this. He'll do 1 damage when he hits someone as standard. And we attack settings, and we'll do that to the other one as well. Add in attack settings. Okay, now this guy will move, attack, and die. So what we need to do now is actually deal with the player. The player can currently walk around, jump, and wait, but he can't attack. And that's super simple to fix up. But before we fix any of this up, we're going to go in basic settings and actually give him 3 health. Rather give her 3 health. You can change the attack settings here, how much damage they do and what percentage of damage they receive. But we're not going to touch any of that for now. Just change the HP and max HP here. We're going to select the jump action here and just hit the plus. Now we're going to add attack settings to this jump action. And once we've got that set up, we just have to hit OK. There's nothing else that we really need to do on that one. Perfect. Okay, so now when he jumps, it will say he's going to do an attack. And the attack that he does is going to be below him because of the attack box that we put up. Okay, now we need to add in an action, and we're going to call this action Hurt. So this is whenever she takes damage. And we're going to put our little Hurt animation. Now we're going to hit Ignore, Move, and Input during motion, and also ignore direction change during motion. That means you can't move this character or change direction of the character when it's being hurt. The other thing that we're going to do is click the runtime action, and we need to set this up so she goes backwards a little bit. And rather, we want to click move towards display direction, and we just want to move her 30 in reverse direction. And you'll notice it probably won't come up in the preview very well, but boom, she goes back when she gets hit, and we'll click OK. Now that we have our hurt state, we need to add how she gets hurt and what she does after she gets hurt. So what we need to do is add a link from each one of these boxes to the hurt location. And that's quite simple. We just hit add link, and we're going to click and drag from there. And the condition we're going to set is hit and attack detection. We're going to click if it hits on any of these sides, and we're going to also make it so it happens on the enemy group. We don't have to change anything else. That's all we got to do with that one. And we're going to do that for each one of our actual boxes here. We're just going to add a link, go condition, hit and attack detection, all sides, enemy group, and with jump, so you can still get hurt even when you're jumping. Okay, all sides, and enemy group. Then we want this actual thing to go back to our waiting state after it's played out. And the way we do that is we just hit a new link. It's starting to get a little bit messy, and you can move it and rearrange it as you wish. But we've got our hurt going back to waiting, and the way it happens is if the motion animation plays to the end. So we're going to play out the full 20 frames of the hurt animation, and then boom, waiting. However, we also need our death effect and our death state. So we're going to add a new action, and this is going to be our death animation. We're just going to call it death, and we're going to set the motion to death. We can scroll down. We're going to ignore the input and direction change again, and this time that's all we've got to do for this one here. So this is going to happen when we die. So we've got our hurt animation. We're going to add a link over to our death animation. Alright, and the way this death animation works is, let's move that over there. When the link happens, condition if we are at 0 HP. So now, if we're at 0 HP, we're going to die, and the animation's going to play. And yeah, the motion should play in both directions as well without having to mess around with it. If there's any issues, we'll check it. We'll check it anyway. Okay, so that's our little character, player 1 done, and we've got our enemies made. So from here, we're going to go all the way back to our scenes and add in, let's make sure we're on the map layer, and add in a few bad guys to mess around with. Now, the way we do that is we just go to objects, and we're going to put down a little enemy spike. Oh, rather, we have to do it from the top here on our object list. Well, now I'll just put a few in just to show you how they act. And well, it's always good to save before you test. The program is still in early access. So he'll bounce off that. Boom. Now, I haven't set them up to bounce off each other yet, and we can fix that up. But for now, jump, and our attack didn't work either. So we're going to have to fix that up and see what we've done wrong. Alright, so I worked out why they weren't hurting each other, and all you got to do is go into jump, into attack settings, and make sure you click make hit enemy group here. Once you see it, you feel silly. But where it's all a learning experience, don't worry. And we're going to do the same with these attack settings, and we're going to make sure this one attacks player group here, and then walking right, we're also attacking player group here. I did do that right. Yes, yes I did. Yep. Okay. Now, back over at scenes, we're going to test this out. So, I should be able to kill him by jumping on top of his head. Woo! There we go! Yes! Progress! Progress! And let's test out him killing me. Now, there isn't any reset switch yet, but let's see. I'm hit. Oh. He killed me straight away. Well, at least we know the animation worked. Okay. Let's maybe try that again. Maybe it was a unfortunate thing. Boop. Oh, dead. Okay. Gotta double check how to fix that. So we're gonna go back over to objects and back to our player. And don't worry, this is going to happen a lot when you use this program, is you forget to do one or two things and you have to go back and forth and back and forth. So we're going to set our parameters here. It looks like we do have our HP set properly. We do want to actually have temporary invincibility after receiving damage, otherwise we'll constantly take damage. We can even set it so we blink during that invincibility. But let's see if that fixes our problem. Boomp, boop, boomp. Seems that we keep getting pushed in the same direction, and I think I know why that is. Okay, so once again, why that is bugging out is we need to go back to our animations and make sure we've got the right arrows set. I messed that up. I messed that up a lot. That's fine. Okay, and really, game design is all about this bug testing. You got to keep working out exactly what works and what doesn't anyway. So fingers crossed that this all works. Sometimes it seems like a little bit of voodoo magic is what you need. There we go. Now we're actually being hit back and dead in the correct direction. Woo, finally. Okay, so we now have a bad guy in our scene. We have our player that can jump around and jump on top of the bad guys, and we can both be hurt and kill the enemy that's on the map. You can set it up so these guys, when they bump into each other, will also change direction, which I'll add in next tutorial. Alright, so that's everything for this tutorial. Join us next time as we create a much bigger map with transitions from level to level, as well as actually tweaking some of the different parameters of gravity and things like that on the map. And, we'll also get the camera following around our little character. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. And if you do like this tutorial series, please hit that like and subscribe button. I'll see you next time.